incident and the response from school leaders.
Revealing what led up to his body being dumped on the side of the road. New at 4, what we're learning about this death in Dauphin County and the connection between the victim and his accused killer.
A lot of folks won't know what's going to be put here until they vote yes and sell this land. And at that point, we'll have to do a lot of damage control.
Concerns over a data center in Lancaster County. The critical meeting tonight over the future of an innovation park.
The humidity sticks around as we head into your Wednesday, along with the chance for some showers. We'll let you know when you'll need the umbrella and when you can put it away in the 10-day forecast.
Potentially spreading beyond Africa's borders, the concerns about new Ebola infections as cases skyrocket and health leaders scramble to catch up.
WGAL News 8 at 4 starts now.
Allegations of student misconduct during PE class. Welcome to News 8 at 4, everybody. I'm Michael Fuller.
And I'm Tasmeen Mahfouz, and this investigation centered around Manheim Central High School in Lancaster County.
And we want to go out live to News 8's Sarah Metz, who's live at the school. And Sarah, what have you learned today?
Well, Manheim Central superintendent told us that the district received a complaint about an incident that happened between students during gym class inside the locker room. Now, he says that the district took immediate action by contacting Manheim Borough Police and also Childline, a reporting system for child abuse and neglect. Now, this is part of the email sent to district parents and guardians about the incident. It reads, "We are writing to inform you that the district is actively investigating allegations regarding inappropriate student conduct that took place in a high school gym locker room during the school day. Additionally, our administration took the necessary steps to address the situation. Because this matter involves minors and remains an active investigation, we are strictly bound by privacy laws and cannot share specific details like student names or individual disciplinary actions that have been enacted." Now, after this email went out, we did receive a number of emails asking for follow-up information like what happened, who it involved, and also what this means moving forward. Now, I did contact the proper people today to ask those questions, including the district attorney's office. Their office tells me that they are aware of the situation and they are working with Manheim Borough Police during this active investigation. Otherwise, they have no further comment at this time. In Manheim, Sarah Metz, WGAL News 8.
Sarah, thank you. And in Lancaster County, nearly 50 homes had to be evacuated this morning due to a gas leak. This happened in East Donegal Township. UGI tells News 8 a contractor digging a fence hit a gas line on Kimmelsfield Drive near Ashley Drive, and UGI shut down the line and started repairs. People were allowed back in their homes about 2 hours later.
And a man who was found dead Saturday on the side of the road in Londonderry Township, Dauphin County, has been identified. News 8's Susan Shapiro joins us with who the victim was and what authorities say happened. Susan.
The victim is identified as Alexander Horyanov. State police determined that Horyanov worked for New Route Inc., a trucking company based in California, and was driving partners with Ilya Romanchenko, the man charged with criminal homicide in his death. Horyanov's body was found Saturday night along the 1800 block of River Road in Londonderry Township, Dauphin County, with multiple stab wounds and severe head trauma. The affidavit says he told his boss that he had been in a fight with Horyanov and had left his truck parked at a Royal Farm store in Delaware County. Surveillance video from the gas station shows Romanchenko with visible injuries on his hands and discarding a plastic bag in the parking lot. He was arrested Sunday in Miami after flying there from Philadelphia. The Dauphin County DA says it was a brutal killing.
Oftentimes can be, it's more interactive and violent and repeated than sometimes the use of a handgun. So it's very disturbing. Went a great distance, and he's a foreign national. So we're always concerned about that.
And Chardo says he will be extradited at some point from Miami, Florida. An autopsy was done today on Horyanov, but we have not yet gotten the results. Back to you.
Susan, thank you. And in Cumberland County, a federal grand jury has indicted a Shippensburg police detective on child sexual abuse materials. The U.S. attorney says 36-year-old Matthew Plessy used cryptocurrency to buy the materials from the darknet several times between July of 2024 and April of 2025. Plessy is in Adams County Prison. Shippensburg police released a statement saying Plessy is on administrative leave pending the federal proceedings and any related borough disciplinary process. It also says it's cooperating with federal authorities. And the Homeland Security Investigation Philadelphia acting special agent in charge says calls Plessy's actions reprehensible and illegal. And in York County, we're working to learn when the basketball courts in the Valley Green Village community in Newberry Township will reopen. Police locked the courts last night after a large fight that happened on Sunday. A woman police say had a knife was arrested, and officers say more charges are pending for other adults and kids who were involved in that fight. Now, this isn't the first fight to happen at those courts. Police say last month, more than a dozen kids, including some who didn't live in the community, were caught fighting there.
Well, the future of the former McGuinness Airport property in Columbia Borough is the focus of tonight's council meeting. It's gained so much attention that they moved the location of their meeting to the fire hall right next to the property. News 8's Bailey Martin spoke with residents who live on Manor Street today about their concerns ahead of tonight's meeting. Hey there, Bailey.
Hey, Michael, back in February, I spoke with Columbia Borough Council members who told me that this 41-acre property off of Manor Street just really wasn't being used to its fullest potential. So they cleared the land out and have been looking for a buyer for this land ever since, which they're considering at their meeting tonight. The sole bidder, council members tell me, is Saudia Holdings. They're a New York-based company who council members say actually specialize in warehousing and data centers. Council set to vote tonight on a $6.3 million bid for the McGuinness property. Council members previously told us that they would not want a data center to go on the property because they wanted something quick that would boost local economy like shops or housing. Local advocacy group Lancaster Stands Up has been talking to neighbors about their concerns if a data center were to be put here.
There are a lot of great ideas that folks want to see this land be put to use. There's a lot of families in the area where they raise their kids here, and hearing that humming or, you know, the residual heat concerns, yeah, like they don't want to deal with that. And we're seeing how these data centers are impacting people all across the country, even here in our state of Pennsylvania. And so very much wanting to talk with folks and see what they're feeling, and a lot of folks are like feeling very much strongly against this.
And those folks have really expressed them being against this decision very strongly in the last week, so much so that council actually decided to move their meeting from where they regularly hold their meetings to the fire hall, which is actually steps away from the McGuinness property, so people can actually see that property from where they are when they come to the meeting tonight. That meeting is set to start at 7 o'clock tonight. We'll keep you updated throughout the evening. Live here in Columbia, Bailey Martin, WGAL News 8.
Bailey, thank you. And an interesting sight this morning over Harrisburg. You could see this is a time lapse of the fog moving in this morning and then clearing out around the morning rush hour. And here's a live look over Harrisburg right now. Tonight, the clouds are lingering and it's kind of a little humid outside.
It is a little humid, and we got some areas that are going to see some rain tonight and tomorrow. Let's check in with Mike Susko. Right now, though, it's really nice to feel the warmth in the sun. Right, Mike?
Yeah, guys, it really is here, especially after I think the past weekend where a lot of folks are still trying to get outside and maybe get a couple things done here on this Tuesday evening. We are going to be seeing that humidity stick around for your night tonight with a spotty shower, and then a few showers coming in on Wednesday, especially in the afternoon. Some of those could also produce some thunderstorms at times as well, but most of the heavy rain should stay to the south in Maryland. Once we get to Thursday and really beyond, it is refreshing, it is pleasant, and it's going to come with a lot of sunshine. So for those of you who want the sunshine, you just have to hold on for another 48 hours or so, and then you're going to have more than enough of it, trust me. You're looking outside Gettysburg at this moment in Adams County, looking pretty good. We're in the 80s in Gettysburg, 81 degrees, 84 in Lebanon, 81 up in Lewistown, 77 for Harrisburg, and 78 in Lancaster with 76 in York. Here's a look at the dew points. This is a better measurement of moisture than relative humidity. The higher this number, the more humid it is. And once we start getting near 70, that's when it feels like tropical weather or more like Florida, what you would see down in the south. Now here, we're right around 59 to 60 degrees with the dew point. So it's It's a little sticky out there, but it could be a whole lot worse, and we'll be getting that more in the summer. But here's a look at Storm Team Live Radar Network. Looking good. You got that front to the south. That will bring us some of those showers at times as we go through the overnight hours tonight, and then again tomorrow in the afternoon could see a couple scattered showers and storms. We'll show you the timing on that with the predictor coming up in just a little bit, guys.
Looking forward to it, Mike. Thank you. Well, coming up on News 8 at 4, a push to log off and unplug. Why more school districts are reverting back to pen and paper after investing billions in classroom digital devices.
And honoring his life and legacy as tributes continue for Kyle Busch. Well, doctors say you should know about the disease that killed him.
The 8 on Your Side team is hearing from viewers wondering why are they receiving new Medicare cards? And of course, they're wondering if they're legitimate. I'm on your side with the answers you need tonight on News 8 at 6.
And a live look at the White House tonight, where you can see in the back the arena being built for the next month's UFC fight, the open air dome on the South Lawn. It's known as the Cly. You probably remember it because it was built by Rocklet right here in Lancaster County. And here's video from yesterday of the construction crews starting to assemble the structure, complete with an octagonal fighting ring. The venue is expected to hold some 5,000 spectators attending the UFC Freedom 250th event on June 14th, which also corresponds with President Trump's 80th birthday. Meantime, President Trump says his annual physical and dental exam went, quote, perfectly. And this is video from just hours ago of him leaving Walter Reed National Medical Center. Now, the president posting on social media the update, and also he thanked doctors and staff. The White House physician is expected to release the official report on that exam the next couple of days. Trump's last trip to Walter Reed was back in October when he reportedly received an MRI scan.
And An emotional tribute to the late Kyle Busch. On Sunday, the sold-out crowd at Charlotte Motor Speedway went silent as NASCAR fans paid their respects just days after Busch's death. The two-time champion's racing number has been temporarily retired, only to be revived if his son Braxton decides to get behind the wheel and follow in his father's footsteps. And over the weekend, Busch's family announced that Kyle had died from a severe case of pneumonia that brought on sepsis. And Joshua Davis from our sister station in North Carolina spoke with experts who explain how a disease this serious could go unnoticed.
The most important point is early recognition, as far as making sure you're evaluated and get treatment early.
We now know that NASCAR legend Kyle Busch died after severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis.
Pneumonia is an infection of the lungs, specifically in the air sacs of the lungs, that then fill up with inflammatory cells and inflammatory fluid that then can progress and make it difficult to breathe.
Dr. Kenton Dover, a physician in pulmonary and critical care medicine at UNC Hospital at Chapel Hill, says symptoms include cough, fever, chest pain, and more, and can stem from either a viral or bacterial infection.
Viral pneumonias are often contracted just by spread from person to person. So typically like respiratory droplets or aerosolized droplets that we might breathe in the community, or with lack of hand hygiene and sharing germs that way. Similarly, that can also happen with bacterial pneumonias, but often in that setting, it also occurs when people have underlying lung disease or smoking history.
He says sepsis happens when the body's immune system essentially goes haywire when reacting to an infection.
You get full body inflammation. In the setting of pneumonia, that would be an infection that starts in the lungs, and then the immune response to that becomes overwhelming and starts to affect other organ systems. So can affect things like the heart, the brain, the kidneys, the blood vessels.
And he says while pneumonia is a common condition that can be treated,
the minute patients develop symptoms, it's good to get checked out to make sure it's not something more serious that would need more aggressive care.
And breaking right now out of Washington state, at least 10 people, including a firefighter, are hurt after a chemical tank imploded at the pulp and paper mill. So there's also reports of people dead there, but investigators are not confirming how many or the number of people who are missing right now. This happening in Longview. That's a city near the Washington-Oregon border. There is no threat to the surrounding community.
We did turn the corner on this event. We still do have a fire potential and also a spill potential.
Evacuation orders have now been eased for thousands of people in Orange County, California, after they were forced to leave because of the high threat of chemical tank explosions that was supposed to happen at a nearby business, a potential threat of it now. However, a smaller evacuation order does remain in place, meaning about 16,000 people are still banned from going home.
The trauma, because of not knowing, the uncertainty of when we can go home, what's going to happen. I mean, what if we do go back home and the chemicals are still in the air, and what about our pets?
Emergency crews say the risk of a catastrophic chemical tank explosion has been eliminated. Last week, heat and pressure started building up in this tank, which holds 7,000 gallons of a chemical compound that can cause serious health problems. Officials worked at the site through the weekend trying to cool the tank down. And while the danger has been reduced, the tank continues to pose a risk.
Well, as we say goodbye to one school year and get ready for the next, schools across the U.S. are starting to rethink about the abundance of digital devices in classrooms. After pouring billions of dollars into laptops, tablets, and learning apps, a growing number of schools say it is time to scale back. The Los Angeles Public School System announced it will stop giving its youngest students devices. It's part of a sweeping new screen policy in the nation's second largest school district. Concerned parents are driving the reforms. It's actually similar to what we saw happen earlier this month in a Pennsylvania school district. Parents in Lower Merion School District in Montgomery County demanded the school board to give them the option to opt their child out of the one-to-one technology for classwork and homework. But the school board pushed back, saying it's not feasible to let hundreds of students opt out of technology that is essential to the curriculum.
Now the WGAL News 8 Storm Team forecast with meteorologist Mike Susko.
And good evening, everyone. Here's a look at the 10-day forecast, because tomorrow we are going to be watching for some showers and thunderstorms as we head into the afternoon. We were expecting widespread rain in the morning. Looks like the heavy rain stays to the south, and we could also see a second round in the afternoon that brings us some showers and maybe a rumble of thunder. And then after that, well, it's basically copy and paste. We're going to be seeing a partly sunny sky on Thursday, temperatures in the 70s, and it stays there through really the rest of the 10-day forecast. Temperatures fluctuate a little bit, but you can see tomorrow will be our last chance for some rain. Until then, though, enjoy the rest of the evening. Mostly cloudy with a stray shower not out of the question in our western counties, but most of us stay dry. We go over 78 at 6 o'clock, down to 73 by 9, and overall lows tonight will be in the mid-60s here with some scattered showers developing across the area, but they will be very light and very hit or miss with a mostly cloudy sky. It will also be mild and muggy. That humidity is not going anywhere. You're going to feel it again tomorrow across the area. On your Wednesday, we're looking at a mostly cloudy day with a few afternoon showers and storms potentially coming through. There will also again be a spotty shower in the morning, but most of that will stay to the south, it looks like at this point. Temperatures are in the upper 70s as we go through your Wednesday. Rain chances for the next 12 hours, you can see how they're very low until we get after midnight. Then they go up to around 40% here. So again, not everybody gets the rain overnight tonight, but some of you, don't be surprised if you wake up and you see that your car had some rain on it from the night. Here's a look at Storm Team Live Radar Network. What's driving all this is this little stationary front here. And you can see the moisture there down in West Virginia, even a flash flood warning north of Charleston. That will all be pushing close to the Susquehanna Valley. The question is, where does this front go? The problem with the stationary front is that they're very slow and sometimes they just stall out. So if that happens right across Maryland, then we end up getting very little, if nothing at all, across the Susquehanna Valley. But if that front can come a little bit farther north, then we may see a little bit more rain, especially tomorrow afternoon. So let's time this out for you here with the predictor. As we go through the night tonight, we keep most of that rain out of our area, but maybe a spotty shower at times. As we head to tomorrow morning, now the model's bringing that rain a little bit more back in, but it's not as widespread as before. It's more hit or miss as we head through your Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon, we could see a couple of those scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder as well. Again, it all depends on how close that front gets to our area, and then once it pulls away, then we will dry out. By the time we get to Thursday, this cold front you see in blue will push through the Susquehanna Valley. Behind it, it's going to usher in a big pattern change to us. We're going to be seeing dry conditions and more seasonable conditions through the rest of the week. And the reason why is that the upper level pattern does not change. You're looking at Saturday here, and even when we look into Sunday, very little change in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So things are not going to very much change at the surface. And in fact, we end up setting up a blocking pattern, what's known as an omega block. And the reason why is because you end up getting a blocking pattern that looks like the Greek letter omega. And it ends up having the characteristics of two areas of low pressure on each end with a ridge of high pressure in the center. Whenever this happens, if you get under that ridge, you get dry weather. And that's what's exactly about to happen for us after Wednesday. You can see Wednesday we have a last chance of rain for the rest of the 10-day forecast, guys, because that blocking pattern sets up and it just sits there. So we're going to be seeing plenty of sunshine with temperatures in the 70s beyond.
We love that. All right, thank you, Mike. And quick look at traffic right now. So we do have a crash we need to tell you about. You can see the backups there on that camera. It's 81 southbound Dauphin County between exit 77 and exit 72. You will see some backups for a little bit if you're planning to go through that area anytime soon.
This has been a Lancaster Toyota traffic report.
Coming up next on News 8 at 4, a surge in ER visits due to tick bites. We're back with a local emergency doctor about what you need to be watching out for as the summer approaches.
And choosing to doom scroll online instead of getting some sleep. The concerning research about how teenagers are struggling to put down the phone and recharge. All right, friends, so the next time you head to the airport, you might want to double check your airline's rules.
Yeah, some major airlines are tightening restrictions on power banks after a growing number of onboard battery fires. National consumer correspondent Ali Jasinski explains what's changing and how you can tell whether your charger meets the rules.
Power banks like these have become a travel essential, but airlines are starting to crack down on how many you can bring, where you can store them, and even how you use them during a flight. As of May, American Airlines says you can bring 2 power banks under 100 watt hours. Now, that generally covers most power banks designed for travel, but Southwest recently took it a step further. You get 1. And these power banks cannot be stored in the overhead bin, and when you are using them, they need to be out in front of you in plain sight, not tucked away into a bag. The changes come amid a growing number of battery fires on planes, like this one that broke out on an Air Busan flight in South Korea last year. Officials think the fire was sparked by a battery pack in an overhead compartment. Federal Aviation Administration data shows there have been more than 700 lithium battery incidents involving smoke, fire, or extreme heat on U.S. aircraft since 2006. Roughly 4 in 10 involved battery packs. In March, the International Civil Aviation Organization, a UN body, issued their own recommendations. Limit power banks to 2 per passenger and don't recharge them during flights. So how can you tell if your power bank is allowed on the plane? The number of watt hours should be written onto it. This one, for example, is 37. Those larger ones over 100 watt hours tend to be for things like AV equipment and drones, and those require airline approval. If you don't see watt hours on your power bank, you can still calculate that by following this formula. Look for milliamp hours, or mAh. Take that number, multiply it by the voltage, which is usually 3.7, then divide that by 1,000. Don't want to do the math? The FAA has a calculator you can use on their website. Bottom line, the rules are changing and can vary, especially if you are traveling internationally. So before your next flight, make sure to check, and remember, never put a power bank inside your checked bag. Reporting in New York, I'm Ali Jasinski.
Some good tips there coming up on News 8 at 4. Falling behind and containing the spread. The concern from global health leaders about the Ebola outbreak as 2 new suspected cases have been reported outside of Africa.
Iran vows to retaliate while the U.S. says a deal to end the war could be close. I'm Christopher Salas at the White House with the latest on negotiations.
And as we go to break, here are the Dayside lottery numbers.
eyewitnesses coverage you can count on. WGAL News 8 at 4 continues.
A potential deal to end the war in Iran appears to be on shaky ground. Thank you so much for staying with us, everybody. I'm Tasmin Mahfouz.
And I'm Michael Fuller. The U.S. launched new attacks Monday, calling it self-defense, but Iran says the strikes are a sign of bad faith and unreliability during negotiations.
Our White House correspondent Christopher Salas is live on the North Lawn. Christopher, what's the latest right now?
Yeah, Michael Tasmin. So the central tension tonight is that the U.S. is saying that the deal could be just days away in terms of stopping the war, but Iran is vowing to retaliate against new U.S. strikes. And the question is there enough time that the ceasefire can hold in order for a deal to actually happen? The U.S. military hit Iranian missile sites and ships laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz on Monday. Central Command is calling the strike self-defense, saying U.S. forces are still showing restraint during the ceasefire. But Iran sees it very differently. They said the strikes were a clear violation of the ceasefire, and that America will be held responsible for these, quote, hostile acts. Iran claims it shot down drones and deterred fighter jets over its airspace. The Pentagon hasn't confirmed that. All of this comes as President Trump says negotiations are proceeding nicely. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says negotiators are down to disagreements over a word, a sentence, and that talks could take a few days. Negotiations reportedly center on extending the ceasefire, limiting Iran's highly enriched uranium, sanctions relief, and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. The strait is a critical energy shipping lane, and the war has prevented ships carrying oil, natural gas, fertilizer, and other commodities from leaving the waterway. Secretary Rubio did say that the strait would reopen, quote, one way or the other. Back to you.
All right, Christopher, thank you. Well, a small Belgian town is in mourning after a train hit a school bus, killing 2 children, the bus driver and a chaperone. 5 other children were hurt. The bus was transporting students from a nearby school, Education School, just north of Brussels. It happened near a level crossing while the train was traveling at high speed. A federal police spokesperson says the bus driver appeared to have plowed through the train barrier and the train had no time to brake.
Chaotic moments outside the Federal Immigration Center in Newark, New Jersey, where ICE is housing detained immigrants as protesters are demanding answers about what's happening inside the facility. The group chanting, holding signs, and even kneeling in front of 3 vans trying to leave the facility this morning, all in an effort to prevent it from driving away. Advocates say they simply want answers about reports of inhumane living conditions inside the facility that have led to a hunger strike. While some politicians were granted access over the weekend to see the inside, the governor of New Jersey herself was refused entry.
Everyone, regardless of your status, should be treated with dignity. We're having reports that women who are menstruating have to ask every time they need products. That's humiliating.
The Department of Homeland Security defended the facility's conditions and the decision to deny the governor's entry. Activists say the detainees' hunger strike will continue until they get a chance to meet with the governor.
Well, new at 4, Europe may have its first Ebola cases in the current outbreak. 2 people in Italy have been hospitalized after showing symptoms. They both recently returned to Italy after several months as aid workers in Uganda. So all of this comes as the World Health Organization warns Ebola is spreading faster than they can keep up with in Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, the World Health Organization chief is visiting ground zero of the outbreak, with suspected cases now topping 900. Meantime, the cruise ship at the center of the deadly hantavirus outbreak is undergoing further cleaning before it returns to his own port. Ocean-wide expeditions say that the extra work is on the advice of the local health authority in the Netherlands. Yesterday, a Spanish citizen who was a close contact of a person connected to the outbreak tested positive and is in isolation in Madrid. As for the Americans who were on board, well, they're still in quarantine. And tonight, public health leaders responsible for leading U.S. research on infectious disease threats are now allowed to communicate with the World Health Organization. The Trump administration issued the directive. The restriction was in place during the recent hantavirus outbreak, but have since relaxed in the past week due to the Ebola outbreak. Some leaders can attend virtual WHO meetings, but only in what's described as a listening capacity.
And a racial discrimination lawsuit against the National Football League can move ahead after the Supreme Court declined to step in. So Brian Flores sued the league in 2022, claiming race played a role in the Miami Dolphins firing him and at least 2 other teams deciding not to hire him. The NFL argued league rules required discrimination claims to go through arbitration, but the appeals court ruled NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell lacks the independence needed to oversee those disputes. Flores currently serves as the defense coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. His lawsuit has since been joined by